everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today I am going to be making a video that I've been putting off for almost 2 years now, and that was because I was just never ready to talk about it. Every so often I go through these little phases where I just reflect on my life and everything that I've been through and how everything has taught me and has made me who I am today. This was something that I experienced a while ago, and it was a toxic relationship that I was in. I also finally decided to make this video because a little while ago I made 2 videos about relationship advice, and I asked you on Instagram to ask me any of your questions and I'll try and help you guys out. And reading all of your comments made me so heartbroken, you guys, because I know what it feels like to be in those situations, and I wish I could tell all of you that it gets better and that you do not deserve anyone treating you badly, being unfaithful to you, anyone making you feel like you are worthless. And I have this YouTube channel where I know a lot of you are younger than me, or older than me, and could really benefit with videos like this because I've watched so many of these, my toxic relationship videos and how I got cheated on videos, and whenever I hear those stories, I'm just like, wow, they are literally describing my situation. Everything they're talking about, like, this is my life. What they're saying is my life, and it's so good knowing that you are not alone. If any of the things that I'm telling you sounds like your relationship, I hope this video helps you out. This video is not meant to bash anyone. This video is not meant to hate on anyone. That is just not who I am. I am not a confrontational person. I am not a person who likes to start drama. That is not me. I'm not going to be naming any names. I still have respect for those people. This is just my story, what I went through, my experience. I would really love it if you guys stayed until the end of this video and listened all the way through, because there is a message to this all.
Para todos aquellos amores que fueron obligados a ser separados.
So I was in a relationship for about 2 years, and then there's that really long, talking phase. This person was in my life for 3 years. So when I met him, I was 13 years old. I was so young. And let me give you a little background about who I was when I was 13 years old. So I was extremely shy, extremely insecure. I did not have any guy friends. I did not know how to talk to guys. And then on the other hand, we have, the guy that I ended up dating, and he was super popular, super cool. If you asked anyone at school about him, everyone would tell you that he was the greatest guy ever, that he is so nice and so kind and so cool. And he was in sports. Everyone knew who he was. He drove this convertible sport car, and we were only 13, 14 years old at the time. I met him through mutual friends. We were both in my friend's court of honor. It was the summer after middle school where we were in these quinceañera practices. I knew who he was, and we had just never talked before. I didn't know anything about him. I remember he would approach me at these practices, and I never thought much of it. Again, I was just super awkward, super shy. He would clearly be putting his attention towards me. Whenever he was about to leave, he gave everyone a hug, and of course there's awkward little me who was just like, oh my gosh, I hope he doesn't ask me for a hug. And then he would not leave until I gave him a hug, and just little things like that. As the time went by, we got closer, we started talking, and I'm gonna say maybe like a year after that, he asked me out with like the biggest teddy bear. It arrived at my house in the mail. He asked my parents for permission. It was like a fairy tale. I'm telling you guys, everything was just perfect, and I was just so in awe with everything. And it started off amazing. He would bring me flowers, he would bring me chocolates, he would bring me random little gifts, and we would text all the time. I was just like amazed, like how could this guy that everyone talks so great about be focused on me? Like this girl that no one knows who she is, literally no one knew who I was, that guy, he wants me? We started dating my sophomore year in high school, and I'm gonna say about 3 to 4 months in was when I first noticed a red flag. And we went to different high schools, by the way, so I never really knew what he was up to in his high school. I remember I came to class one day, and one of the few friends that I had at this school, he showed me a Snapchat, and he was like, hey Giselle, like look, it's it's your boyfriend, like look. And I was so confused because I saw him in this video with a few other girls and I think maybe like another guy, and it was like this whole group of friends hanging out in the middle of our city, like the downtown of our city. Basically they sneaked out of their houses really late at night, and I had no idea. He never told me, And the thing that was like really fishy about it was that he didn't post anything on his Snapchat, you know, so I wouldn't see it. I was so confused and so hurt why he would lie to me and not tell me that he did that, because I was talking to him the night before. We said goodnight. I remember texting him and I sent him the picture. He was so calm about it, and the first thing he said was, Giselle, I can explain, it's not what you think, heart eyes, like everything was fine to him, but to me I was freaking out. I was so confused why he would lie. Was something going on? And that was the first instance that I remember where we started having problems. I was obviously really hurt, but he convinced me and told me it wasn't gonna happen again, he wasn't gonna lie to me anymore, and that everything is perfect. It happened a few more times where he would sneak out at night, he wouldn't tell me, he would hang out with all these girls and just completely hide it from me, and I was so hurt every single time, and I would cry, and every single time he would tell me, I'm so sorry, it's not gonna happen again, I promise you there's nothing wrong, we weren't doing anything bad. The lies continued while we were dating, and I would find messages on his phone from other girls like talking to him, and obviously it was very flirtatious the way he was talking with them, and I would tell him like, what is this, like why are you saying these things? He would just tell me, oh, like it's not what you think, it's not like that, I'm so sorry, like I'll stop talking to them. I'm gonna say about 8 or 9 months in of dating. It was the last day of school for me, or the day after the last day of school, and I get a text message where he broke up with me. Obviously I was very devastated. First of all, it was through a text message. Second of all, it was very random to me, and I was so confused and so hurt, and I asked him like, why are you doing this? He gave me 2 reasons. The first one was that he fell out of love with me, and obviously that hurt me so much because I was very much in love with him. I was head over heels with him. I was very blinded with everything. Even though he had hurt me a lot, he kept convincing me that everything is okay, and he would write me the longest sorry messages telling me the most bizarre romantic things. You're my one and only love, you're the only person that I want, you're the only person that I need, we're gonna get married one day, telling me all these things. And obviously as a young girl, like that just sucks you in. After every single lie, he would come back to me and say the exact same things, and it would suck me right back in. And then he would lie again, say the exact same, tell me he's so sorry, he would cry to me, he would make such a big scene out of it. And in my heart I was like, wow, he's crying, he must care, he must be really sorry, but he kept repeating everything. It was just so bizarre to me how out of nowhere he decided to break up with me. And the other thing was that he told me that it became a chore to see me, and that broke my heart into so many pieces. I never expected someone to say that to me, just straight up told me like it became a chore to see you. And when I think of a chore, I think of taking out the trash, cleaning your room, not having to see me. That was just completely heartbroken. So that was the first time we broke up, and that's something that I don't like saying, because I always told myself before I ever had a boyfriend, I was like, I am not gonna be like those girls who get back with their boyfriend who are always on and off. That is not the type of person that I am. That's not the type of girl that I want to be. So before we had broken up, a few months before, he mentioned to me this trip for his school, and he said that he could invite anyone, and he invited me to go to this trip to like Spain with him. I forgot where it was, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool, we're gonna go on this trip together. But I don't think my parents will let me. I'm gonna ask anyways, and we'll see what happens. He was so excited and I was so excited. And I asked my parents and they didn't let me go, which is understandable. That was a very expensive trip. Where would I be staying? Like, just all these things, right? So they didn't let me go. And I came back to him and I'm like, my parents didn't let me go, and I started crying because I was so sad. I knew they probably wouldn't let me. There was some hope in me. And he was just like, oh, don't worry about it. It's fine. I won't go to this trip. Like, if you're not gonna go, I won't go. So after we broke up, someone ended up telling me that they were going to go on this trip. And I was like, wait, what trip? Like, is it this trip? And I explained to her the trip that he had told me about, and she was like, yeah, that trip. And I was like, oh my gosh, isn't that like a school trip? And she was like, no, it's actually this. So this is where it gets a little bit complicated, but basically what had happened, he told me that it was a school trip, but it was not a school trip. It was just that group of friends that he was always hanging out with, the ones that he was lying to me to go see. They basically planned out this trip, this fake trip. And they were gonna tell their parents that it was a school trip, but really it was a fake trip where they were all just gonna get in a car, steal money from their parents, and go on this trip to this other city and stay all in a hotel room together. But they're gonna tell their parents that it's a school trip. And they managed to get permission forms from the office, and they told their parents and convinced them that it's a real trip, and their parents gave them money for this trip. And they set out a date. Legit, you guys, it was a whole planned out trip. And I was so confused with why would he invite me to this trip if he knew that it was a fake trip. My parents, first of all, would have never let me go. I'm still very confused till this day. So my friend told me that she was gonna go on this trip, but she ended up just backing out and being like, no, it's not worth, you know, risking this and getting in trouble and all this. So my heart completely froze. I was so confused as to why he would lie to me and fake this trip, about just nothing makes sense, right? So obviously I couldn't do anything about it. They were gonna go on this fake trip, and I knew that on this trip there was gonna be these other girls and they're all gonna stay in one hotel room. And obviously, you know, my mind is just going crazy with all these thoughts, like what are they gonna do? Is he already moving on? Like what the heck, right? The day comes where he told me that fake trip was gonna take place, and they somehow managed to get away with it. They go on this trip. I remember I still had him on Snapchat, and he obviously doesn't know that I know that it's a fake trip, so he did not post anything on his Snapchat. But when he came back from that trip, it was too late, and his parents already knew that it was fake, and he was in so much trouble. So he comes back from this trip, and the first thing, of course, he's grounded. They take away his phone, took away his car. His car was everything to him. Like, he was always doing something. He could not just stay still at home and just not do anything. He always had to be doing something. So the trip happened about 3 weeks after we broke up. And then about a month after we broke up, I get a text message from him. He basically says he wants to talk to me, that he misses me, that he's so sorry, that he messed up. By this point, my parents are very upset with him. They knew about the trip. They knew about all the other things that were happening. He called so many times. He text messaged me so many times. Everyone was telling me this was a bad idea. You know, he clearly did something while he was there. Don't give him that second chance. He's gonna ask for a second chance. And I was so heartbroken. I obviously still loved him. I still cared for him. So finally, I was able to see him, and we met up. It's just crazy to me, you guys. Every single time that he messed up, he would cry and tell me he's so sorry, that he wants me back, that I'm the only person who's ever cared about him. I'm the only person who's ever cared about his health. I'm the only person who's ever pushed him. If I'm doubting anything, that I could ask him. And I started, of course, I asked my questions. I was like, did you do anything while you were over there? He said no. And I was, who went with you? And he told me the names of 3 girls and 3 guys that went on this trip. I remember I asked to see his phone, and he did not hesitate at all. He gave me his phone. He was like sure that there was nothing on his phone. And I am scrolling, and I find this screenshot. There was a girl's name with like heart eyes next to it, so obviously it was in his contacts, and they're like talking and he was flirting. Like, who is this? Because this girl's name did not like ring a bell. It's that girl that you met at my recital that one time. And I was like, huh? I was so confused. And finally it clicked me, like, this was the girl that you were seeking out with months ago. And she was this one girl that randomly showed up to one of his recitals that I went to. It was super random. He invited me and his friend to his recital, and this random girl shows up. She hugs him, and I was just like so confused, but obviously I didn't say anything. I was just like, oh, awkward. I guess one of his friends came to support him too. So innocent, you guys. Like, I didn't think anything of it. And obviously she sits right next to me. I'm with his friend, her, me, and then he's out on stage performing. She's talking to me, and she's like, oh my gosh, y'all are so cute. He always talks about you. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you, really? This was the same girl that, you know, now went on this trip with him and stayed in the same hotel room with him. And I look at the date of the message, because you can see when he took the screenshot, and this was just a week after we broke up. And I started bawling, like crying, because I could not believe how fast he moved from me, how fast he could just do something. So let me kind of summarize what happened. So we broke up. A week after, he's doing already these things with this girl, and then a month after, he goes on this trip. He just starts crying again. It's not what you think. It's not like that. By this point, I was just like, no, Giselle, like, you are not getting back with him. I just told him that I'll think about it, and I left. So I go home, and he's still telling me he's so sorry. He's trying to talk to me. He ends up showing to my house in the middle of the night. And I was in my room and my mom comes in and she's like, he's at the door, do you want to talk to him? And okay, like what am I gonna lose? I said okay. So we have 2 living rooms in my house, right? We have the large living room and then we have the small living room, and that one is like around the corner. So I'm walking from my room to the little living room because that's where he was waiting. I see him sitting on the couch with his head down, just so devastated, crying and like whispering things to himself. He super quickly gets up from the couch and he comes to me and he starts crying and crying, telling me he's so sorry, to take him back. He holds onto my shirt. I look at him and I see the tears rolling down his face, and I hate seeing people cry. I look at him and I wipe away his tears as they're falling from his face, because even though he hurt me so much, I didn't want to see him cry. And I was telling him it's okay, like you don't have to cry, it's okay. So we talked that night and things definitely felt a lot more calm. He for sure made it very clear to me that nothing happened, that he loves me and only me. He made it very clear to me that it was a mistake what he did, that he did not have any feelings for her, and sucked me right back in. We talked a little bit more each day and things were a little bit more peaceful between us and more calm, and we got back together. It was only like a week, you guys, and I'm not kidding, a week where things were good. Things were between us were good. And right after that week, things are back to normal. Things, more lies. It was exactly like a month after we got back together when something happened again. It was his first day of school. I was already in school because I was in a different program, and I started maybe like 2 weeks before him. So it was his first day of school. We were texting and he said he was getting sleepy, that he should probably go to bed. It was like 11 o'clock and I was like, no, come on, let's talk some more. You know how and normally we would keep talking, but this time for real, like I should go to sleep now, like I need to get some rest, I'm tired. And I was like, okay, fine, okay, we'll go to sleep. I was so innocent, you guys, so innocent. I think I see him like a few days after, and because of everything that had happened, of course he told me like, you can see my phone at any point you want, I won't hide anything from you, I have nothing to hide from you. And I remember I asked to see his phone again. I see a screenshot. I don't know why he would screenshot these things. I don't know if he was like showing his guy friends like, look bro, like look, I don't know. And he legit told another girl he loved her. They met up late at night. He snuck out of his house, she snuck out of her house. They met up that night. The last messages between them was like, okay, I'll meet you here, and she said okay, and that was the last part of the text. Telling another girl you love her, like, I remember I felt so bad because before I ever had a boyfriend, I was like, I am not gonna let a guy treat me bad. Cheating is like the worst thing. I'm never gonna let a guy cheat on me. And I told him, I'm like, this is cheating, like you cheated on me. And I was crying and he starts crying. He's like, no, Giselle, no, I didn't do anything with her. I'm like, what do you mean you didn't do anything with her? Look, you met up with her. And so it was the night we were talking, his first day of school. He was not actually tired. It was just that he had already planned this thing to go see this girl late at night, and that's why he said goodnight to me so early. Giselle, you told him if anything happens again, you're gonna leave, you're gonna walk away, you cannot be dealing with this anymore. I remember thinking those things, but for some reason it was not that easy. Like, it's not that easy to leave someone that you are clearly in love with, that you've been with for so long, that is your best friend. And I wish I was strong enough, and I wish I would have left him there, because things got so much worse, like so much worse. And I thought they couldn't get worse. I was like, what the heck? I've been cheated on. Like, it can't get any worse, right? So at this point, we've been together for a year and a few months, and he convinced me, things are gonna be better. And they would get better for a few days, one day, and then go right back to more lies. We're getting now towards the end of our relationship, and these were the worst months of my life. Like, I mean that with all my heart. I remember I got this message from this girl on my Instagram. She was basically accusing him of being with her, and I obviously did not believe it at all. I was like, what the heck? Like, who is this girl? I don't even know who this girl is. And I remember I showed him the message. I'm like, what the heck? Like, look, why is she saying this? Like, who is this? So innocent. Again, it's like I never learned. And he told me, she's so annoying, just block her. And then she tries again reaching out to me. Something is wrong here. Like, I don't think a random girl would just accuse you of all these things unless there's some truth to this story. She basically told me that he's been cheating on me with her, and she has proof. She has all these screenshots from long ago. She had screenshots from before we were dating. Like, these screenshots were happening throughout our entire relationship together. I'm talking our 2-3 years that I've known him. He's had this thing with this other girl. Is this true? And he told me that it was not true. She has screenshots. I showed him all the screenshots. He told me they're fake, they're photoshopped, that he did not say those things, that is not him in those messages. Who would hate me so much to go to the trouble of doing this to me and lying to me and saying all these things about you? Why would she do that? It just made no sense to me. And I knew in my heart everything that this girl is saying is true. I know how he messages me. I know what emojis he uses. I know his tone whenever he talks. Like, everything in those messages and those screenshots that I saw, like, it was him. It was him, and I fully believe it 100% to this day that it's him. And of course, he denies everything. He tells me that she's crazy, don't believe a thing. She says block her. She's just jealous of you. I'm going to prove to you that this is all fake and that she's lying. I'm gonna go talk to her. For 4 months he told me, I'm gonna go talk to her, I'm gonna go talk to her, and I kept reminding him, I'm like, when are you gonna go talk to her? I'm gonna do it soon, I'm gonna do it soon. He never did it. 4 months. Those 4 months were the worst of my life. We got through so many fights, and he would get angry at me, and it was so stressful living with all these doubts for so long, because obviously he never cleared his name. He never actually proved to me that he did not do what this girl was accusing him of. So I'm gonna say about 2 weeks before we broke up for good, we're in a very rocky part of our relationship. There was gonna be this marathon, and a lot of my friends were gonna go to this marathon, and he was gonna go with his school the day before this marathon. And one of my friends couldn't go anymore, and she gave me her ticket, and I was so excited and so ecstatic. To go to this marathon, you had to pick up your little kit, and the kit came with like a t-shirt, your number, a headband, and you had to go to Kohl's to pick up your little kit. And we pick up our kits, and then we all head back to one of our friends' houses. His phone starts ringing, and he told me, oh, I'm gonna go outside and take this phone call. And I thought it was so weird because he's not the type to be shy, answer a phone call in front of someone. Like, that's not him at all. So I was like, wait, what? Like, why don't you answer it here? I just want to go outside and answer. I'm like, why? Okay, fine, like, I'll answer it here. And I was like, oh no, dang, like, no, it's okay, go outside if you need to. So he starts heading outside, and he comes back in. Who was that? And he said it was, and he kind of just like stops first, and it was blank's mom. Here we go, another girl, and this is a girl that I had never heard of before. He said, oh, it's because I'm taking her to the marathon tomorrow, and her mom just wanted to talk to me first. Wait, what? Like, you didn't tell me you were taking anyone with you to the marathon? I know I didn't tell you because I thought you were going to get mad. And he looked so annoyed with me, and what? Like, this is for school. Why would I get mad if you need to go give someone a ride? Like, I'm just hurt because you didn't tell me. You weren't planning on telling me that you were gonna take these 2 other girls with you to this. And I just went completely like silent mode on him. So he gets annoyed. He's like, can we talk outside? And I was like, yeah. And he told me, no, I wasn't planning on telling you. And I was like, what the heck? Why? Why weren't you gonna tell me? And we're just going back and forth. I'm obviously in tears because here we go, another lie. Like, when will the lies end? And he starts cursing at me like, get it through your effing head, get it through your effing head. And he's yelling at me that I'm not effing lying to you, I'm not effing lying to you, get it through your... And I'm just in complete shock. Can't look at him in the face, and I'm crying and crying and crying. And it was so humiliating because my friend, one of my other friends had just got into my friend's house, and she saw everything happen. And that's something about me, you guys. Like, Throughout our entire relationship, I never told anyone about our problems. No one knew about our problems. Everyone thought we had the perfect relationship. Everyone thought we were relationship goals. Did not want anyone to think anything bad of him. And he got angry at the fact that my friends saw, and he just told me, you know what, I'm leaving. Are you coming with me or not? And he was my ride to my friend's house. And I said, I mean, yeah. And I'm just crying in his car because I could not believe he had just talked to me like that. I left my purse inside. Can you go get it? Because obviously I'm in tears and I could not go by myself in there for everyone to see me crying and all my makeup and mascara running. He goes back inside. He comes up to me and really quickly says that my friend's mom is coming to see if you're okay, so you know, like, fix yourself up before his mom comes. My friend's mom heard the yelling, so she came out and she walks to the car, and I remember just like super quickly like wiping away my tears and pretending like everything is okay. And she asked me, honey, are you okay? And I said yes, everything's fine. And we drove off. And I remember we were both silent. One of us brings up what had just happened again, and we start talking and arguing. Everything happened so quickly, you guys. We were almost at my house, and he got so frustrated at one point and he started yelling at the top of his lungs. I had never seen him like that ever. And he slams the brakes in the middle of the road, and I remember screaming his name, and I said, stop, what are you doing? That was the scariest moment I have ever experienced because I didn't know what he was doing. I didn't know why he had just done that. The only thing that I could say while I'm crying was, you did this to yourself. That's exactly how I said it. And he slammed the brake again, and I screamed again, stop. And he starts yelling at the top of his lungs, and then he punches the steering wheel. And I was so scared for my life. First of all, I could not stop crying. I could not look at him. I was just looking straight into the road, just crying and crying and crying. I wasn't even blinking. Tears were just falling out of my eyes. And I kid you not, this was just right at the corner of my house. You just turned, my house was right there. And I am just a mess, and he knows I'm a mess. He knows I can't walk inside my house looking the way I did. His attitude completely changed, and he starts telling me, oh my gosh babe, I'm so sorry, I'm gonna fix this, don't worry, I'm gonna fix it. And he starts driving past my house. Hey, give me 15 minutes, everything is gonna be okay. And I could not say a single thing to him. He's like, talk to me. He just starts driving. He turns the car around, he starts driving back to his house. And he just starts crying, saying he's so sorry, to forgive him. Like, I could not speak. I was still in such shock. And he said, slap me, I deserve it. And I just kind of paused, and I said, I'm not gonna do that. And yeah, obviously I'm not gonna hurt him. This manipulation that was going on, it was just crazy how I couldn't see it. And the crazy thing is that we ended up talking, and like an hour later everything was perfectly fine. That's how twisted everything was. How he knew exactly what to say and exactly what to do to make me fall right into it. When I got home that night, my head was just everywhere. He keeps promising me things are gonna get better. I believe him. He was so convincing, so convincing. And another half of me was like, Giselle, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? And I remember I just broke down crying in my bathroom, like, Giselle, break up with him, telling myself, break up with him, break up with him, break up with him. And I don't know why I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I spent so many times crying in my restroom, crying in my bed, crying myself to sleep at night, having all these doubts, having all this anxiety, never knowing what he's up to, never knowing if he's lying to me when he says something. So now we are at the day that we broke up. And it was the worst day ever, like the worst pain I have ever felt. Basically, let's go back to that girl that messaged me on Instagram and said all these things about him, that basically he's been cheating on me with her for like the past 2 years. And finally the day came. The day came where he was gonna prove everything to me. He had to speak with my parents about it because my parents at this point knew of what he was being accused of. He came over with his parents to talk with my mom about this, and basically they were saying, you know, this is all false. We agreed that we would go talk to this girl, and he was gonna prove to me, you know, everything that she's saying is fake, and we're gonna get it solved. And I were feeling so at peace. I knew it, like things were gonna get better, things are gonna get better. me and him go to the little living room and my parents stay in the large living room talking with his parents. So I'm with him alone. I remember he gets a text message on his phone and it's one of his friends. Hey bro, like it was so fun yesterday at the pools. Wait, what? You told me you were at the hospital with your aunt yesterday. And he had straight up told me that he lied, that he went swimming with this girl and his friend yesterday when he had told me that he was at the hospital because his aunt was getting surgery and that all his family was there, that he had to sleep on the couch. He told me this elaborate story of lies. And I remember sending him something super long like, don't worry, we're gonna get through this, everything's gonna be okay, she's gonna be okay. And he was like, oh, thank you so much, when everything was just a lie. To go swim with another girl. Like, he proceeds to tell me that the girl he went swimming with, mind you, it's another girl, that he's been lying to me to go to her games, that he's been lying to me to go see her, to go to her apartment, to go shopping with her and her mom. Like, all these different occasions where he lied to me and he would be like, oh, I'm sleeping, oh, I'm tired, oh, I'm at practice. And in reality, he was just out seeing this other girl. I grabbed this exact pillow. Like, we had this couch in that little living room, but I grabbed this pillow and I plopped my head in it and I started bawling and bawling and bawling my eyes out. Normally he would try and make me feel better. He would hug me and tell me things are okay. And this time he did not do anything about it. He was just staring at me and he got up and starts pacing back and forth. And he tells me in person, Giselle, I have lied to you so many times I can't even count. And this is when his mom is like, hey, we're leaving now, do you want to stay with her or do you want to go home with me? And in my head I'm like, he's not about to leave me when I'm like this. And he tells his mom, yeah, I'm ready to go. And just left me crying on the couch. I knew, you guys, I knew when he got home, I had a feeling he's gonna break up with me. I knew he couldn't confront the girl that has been saying all these things about him because he knows what she's saying is true. He knows it. He knows he has done just way too much damage at this point to fix it. I know he knows. After he left, I get a text message again. Giselle, like, this is for the best. It's over. I remember running to my mom's room telling her like, he's breaking up with me, he's breaking up with me, he's breaking up with me. I could not stop crying. I could not stop shaking. I don't even know how I got through it. I really don't know. It felt like my world was ending. Just so you have to let it go. Don't message him back. Say your final words. That's it. That's it. And I said what I had to say and basically never heard from him again. My amazing friends came over that afternoon and I told them everything, and it helps so much just telling someone. So much. Just telling someone how you were feeling. And I'll never understand why he would always come back to me and make the biggest scene, cry so much, begging for me back, and then do everything all over again. I remember the only thing that got me through it was telling myself, if it's not okay, it's not the end. I wish this story had a better ending than that. But let me tell you right now that things are so much better and things will get better. And if you ever watch this, I just want to say thank you for leaving because I was never strong enough to do so. Well, it's gonna take some time. It honestly took months for me to finally tell myself I am over this and I am ready to move on. If you find yourself in similar situations like mine, know that you deserve better. I wish I would have left long before. I was abused emotionally, verbally. I don't deserve that because I was never disrespectful to him. I was never unfaithful. I never raised my voice with him. I never cursed at him. I never talked to other guys. I was completely just a support system for him and I was kind to him. That's all I was to him. And that one night when he came to my house begging for me back, when he was holding onto my shirt, he told me, no one is going to love you the way I do. And I completely believed him. I was just so brainwashed at this point, and to this day I'm still finding out things and it still hurts because you just can't imagine someone doing all these things to you. Don't let anyone tell you what you deserve. Know that you can leave. You do not have to stay. Know that when you leave, you will find so much better. You will find yourself again. If it's not okay, it is not the end. Your world will continue and you will find a person who will respect you, who will be kind to you. I hope this video helps you guys out. I hope it inspires you. I hope it just puts you in a place where you see that there's hope. When I watch these videos, I feel like I'm not alone, and that's the best feeling ever, because a lot of the times I felt like no one could relate and I was the only one going through this, and that's not true. So many people go through this and no one deserves this. I don't even wish anything that I went through on him. All I wish is that he doesn't do anything like this to anyone else. I'm sure he's a much better person now. I don't wish anything bad on him. This is just my story, my truth. I honestly do not take it back. I've become so much stronger, and I really know exactly what I don't want and what I do want in a relationship. So yeah. If you have a friend, anyone that's going through a similar situation, send this video to them. I think it'll really help them out. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. If you're new to my channel, subscribe. I would love to have you here. I have Instagram and Snapchat at TakingOnGiselle, and I also have a Depop. I love you guys so much, and I will talk to you guys really soon. Bye!